The garden industry needs you back every spring, spending money on plants that die so they can sell you more. Today, that stops. Here are 11 perennials that come back every year, handle neglect like professionals, and make your yard look like you hired a landscaper. These are the plants they push to the back of the shelf. Pay attention. If this is your first time here and nobody has ever shown you what your yard is actually capable of, subscribe right now. Every week, this channel puts out exactly this kind of content, completely free. Let's get down to business. Creeping phlox. Most people spend spring staring at slopes, hillsides, and bare rocky edges with no idea what to do with them. They try grass, it does not take. They try mulch, it washes away. They try annuals, spend money, plant them, watch them die before the first frost, then repeat the whole cycle next year. That is exactly what the garden industry is counting on. Creeping phlox breaks that cycle completely. In spring, it produces such a thick, dense carpet of flowers, hot pink, magenta, purple, white, lavender, that the foliage almost disappears underneath them. It cascades over rocks, tumbles over retaining walls, and floods slopes with color in a way that genuinely looks like you spent serious money achieving it. You did not. You planted it once. That is all it took. After the blooms fade, creeping phlox becomes a neat evergreen mat of fine needle-like foliage that holds soil in place on slopes, crowds out weeds, and stays attractive all season long. Cold hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, planted along the top of a retaining wall where it can spill over the edge, tuck it between stepping stones, or use it to cover any slope that nothing else wants to touch. The entire maintenance requirement is one light trim after blooming to keep it compact. That is the job description, nothing else. Plant 2. Brunnera Jack of Diamonds. Brunnera macrophylla. If you have a shady corner in your yard that looks dead and embarrassing every single summer, this plant was built specifically for you. Most gardeners look at a shaded area under a mature tree and give up. They throw down some mulch, maybe try a hosta, watch it struggle, and eventually stop caring. That is exactly what the nursery industry is counting on, because if you knew about Brunnera Jack of Diamonds, you would never waste another dollar on plants that fail in the shade. This perennial produces large heart-shaped leaves covered in a striking silver pattern that catches light even in the darkest corners of your yard. We are talking about a plant that does not just survive shade, it thrives in it. It owns it. In spring, soft blue flowers emerge above the foliage, and the whole combination looks like something out of a high-end garden magazine, and you did not have to do a single thing to make it happen. Cold and hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8. Once established, it handles dry spells better than almost any other shade plant available right now. No irrigation system, no weekly watering schedule, no guilt when you forget about it for 2 weeks straight. It naturally forms a full, tidy clump on its own, without you needing to shape it, divide it constantly, or fuss over it every season. Plant it under your mature trees, along a north-facing fence, or in any shaded border that has been giving you nothing but frustration. How many of you have a shady corner you have completely given up on? Drop a yes in the comments right now. I guarantee you are not alone, and I guarantee Brunnera Jack of Diamonds is about to change everything about how you see that space. Plant 3. Hostas. While we are in the shade, let us stay there because this next plant is one of the most popular perennials in the world, and it earns every bit of that reputation. Hostas are grown primarily for their foliage, and those leaves are stunning. Huge, bold architectural leaves in shades of deep green, blue-green, golden chartreuse, and beautiful variegated combinations of white and green. Some varieties grow as small as 6 inches across. Others spread 4 feet wide and become the centerpiece of an entire bed. They thrive in shade, the spots where most other plants struggle. Once established, they are surprisingly drought-tolerant. They grow back bigger and more impressive every single year, and are almost completely hands-off once they are in the ground. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. If you have a problem shady corner, a dark bed under a tree, a north-facing fence line giving you grief, hostas fix it. Full stop. If nobody has ever sat you down and shown you what these plants can actually do for your yard, that is not your fault. But staying uninformed from this point forward is a choice. Subscribe right now because what I am sharing today is just the beginning. Plant 4. Geranium Biokovo. Geranium X Canterbugiensis. Before you skip this one thinking you already know geraniums, stop. Those bright red annual flowers on every porch and parking lot planter, those are not true geraniums. Those are pelargoniums. They die every winter, you buy them again every spring. The nursery makes money, you lose money. Geranium Biokovo is a completely different plant. Cold and hardy in USDA zones 4 through 8, it comes back every single year without you replanting or repurchasing it. In late spring, it produces pale pink to nearly white flowers so delicate and intentional looking that people will ask what landscaping company you hired. After blooming, the fine-textured foliage keeps your garden clean and full all season. Then in fall, the leaves shift to a soft reddish tone, a second wave of color most perennials simply cannot deliver. 2 seasons of visual interest from one plant that asks for almost nothing. Here is what makes this plant truly special. Geranium Biokovo spreads steadily into a natural ground cover that chokes out weeds without ever becoming invasive or aggressive. That bare, ugly ground between your shrubs where weeds keep coming back no matter what you do, plant Geranium Biokovo there and that problem disappears. Put it along the front of your borders, tuck it under your shrubs, use it as a living filler between your larger perennials. It makes everything around it look better just by being there. Plant 5. Lavender. Lavandula angustifolia. This plant actually prefers a little neglect, and that makes it perfect for most of us. Lavender wants poor, lean, well-draining soil. It does not want to be fertilized heavily. It does not want wet feet. In fact, overwatering is the only reliable way to kill it. If you are the type of gardener who tends to forget about your plants for stretches of time, lavender was made for you. It blooms in those iconic purple spikes that are fragrant, long-lasting, and genuinely beautiful. It is a natural insect repellent, so planting it near a patio or seating area actually reduces mosquitoes. The dried flowers are useful in sachets, cooking, and teas, and in mild climates, it is evergreen, meaning it gives your garden structure and interest year-round, not just during blooming season. The less you fuss over lavender, the better it performs. Best suited to USDA zones 5 through 9. Zone 4 or colder, grow it in a container you can bring inside when temperatures drop hard. Plant 6. Daylilies. The workhorse. The classic. The plant that has been in American gardens for generations and earns that legacy every single year. Over 80,000 registered cultivars, hot oranges, soft creamy yellows, rich burgundies, delicate pinks, deep reds, bicolors. There is a daylily for every style and every taste. Full sun or part shade, clay soil, sandy soil, slopes, flatbeds, containers. Daylilies simply do not care. They grow in dense clumps that naturally crowd out weeds. They spread slowly on their own. They multiply, so every few years you divide them and get more plants for free. The only real maintenance is dividing every 4 to 5 years if the clumps start looking crowded. That is your entire to-do list. One important note, daylilies are toxic to cats specifically. If you have outdoor cats, keep that in mind. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9 with some newer varieties extending into zone 10. Plant 7. Allium Serendipity. Every yard hits a wall in mid-July. The spring flowers are completely gone, the early summer perennials are fading fast, and suddenly your garden looks tired, burned out, and half dead right in the middle of the hottest weeks of the year. Most gardeners just accept this as the way things are. They figure summer is just hard on gardens and there is nothing they can do about it. But that is only true if you planted the wrong things. Allium Serendipity was built specifically to fill that exact gap. While everything else in your yard is struggling in the July heat, this plant is just getting started. It produces perfectly round lavender pink flower heads that sit neatly above tight grassy foliage, and the whole combination looks architectural, modern, and completely intentional, like you planned the whole thing, like you knew exactly what you were doing. And the best part? You barely had to do anything to make it happen. Cold and hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9, drought-tolerant, deer-resistant, and pest-resistant all at the same time, the triple threat that most gardeners spend years searching for and never find because nobody points them in the right direction. It grows into a tight, well-behaved clump that never needs dividing, never needs staking, and never sprawls. When blooms fade, the dried seed heads hold their structure beautifully into fall, extending your season without you lifting a finger. Plant it in a sunny mixed border, along a walkway, or in containers on your patio. We are past the halfway point, and I want to hear from you. Which of these plants are you already growing? Drop the name in the comments right now. And if you've had a different experience than what I described, I want to know that too. I read every single comment. Plant 8. Echinacea magnus. Echinacea purpurea magnus. American gardeners spend billions every year on annual flowers that will be dead before the first frost. Billions on plants that give you one season, take your money, and disappear. Echinacea magnus, the purple coneflower, is the exact opposite of that entire cycle. A North American native, cold hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, covering nearly every gardener watching this video, the blooms are large, bold, rosy purple daisy-like flowers with distinctive orange-brown center cones. They appear in midsummer and keep going for weeks, pulling in butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds without any effort from you. When the blooms fade, the seed heads remain on the plant through fall and winter, feeding goldfinches and songbirds directly from your garden. This plant is feeding wildlife in December without you doing a single thing. It tolerates heat, drought, poor soil, and neglect. It spreads slowly and naturally over time, filling your borders with more color every year without ever becoming a problem. Plant it in full sun and give it space to do what it was born to do. You are here now. You found this channel now. Hit subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Every single week, content that the big garden centers and the gardening industry do not want you to see. Free. 1 second. Do it now. Plant 9. Agastache Blue Fortune. Agastache Blue Fortune. There is a moment every August in most yards where the garden just collapses. The energy that was there in May and June is completely gone. The color is gone, the pollinators have moved on because there is nothing left to bring them back. And the gardener who worked so hard in spring is standing in their yard in August feeling like all of that effort meant nothing. Agastache Blue Fortune exists specifically to prevent that moment from ever happening in your yard again. This plant does not even hit its stride until midsummer. While everything else fades in the August heat, Agastache Blue Fortune is sending up tall, elegant purple flower spikes that sway in the breeze and pull in more pollinators per square foot than almost any other perennial you can grow. Clouds of bees and butterflies through late summer and into fall, creating that living, moving, vibrant garden energy that makes people stop and look at your yard. Cold and hardy in USDA zones 5 through 9, thrives in heat, handles drought without drama, and it actually performs better the less attention you give it. This is a plant that punishes overcare and rewards the gardener who plants it and walks away. It self-seeds gently, quietly multiplying your garden for free year after year without becoming aggressive. Plant it once, and it slowly expands your display without costing another dollar. Put it at the back of a sunny border where those tall flower spikes can rise above everything around them. Plant 10. Rudbeckia goldsturm. The black-eyed Susan. Cold and hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, it blooms from midsummer all the way through fall with bold, golden yellow flowers surrounding deep black centers that glow in the late afternoon sun like something deliberately lit for effect. Full sun or partial shade. Clay soil, sandy soil, average soil. It handles everything. It spreads naturally over time to fill larger and larger areas of your garden with zero effort from you. The seed heads persist through winter, feeding birds while adding structural interest in the coldest months. While your neighbors are out every weekend babying high-maintenance plants that still look mediocre, your Rudbeckia goldsturm is covering itself in hundreds of golden blooms and asking you for absolutely nothing in return. Plant 11. Carl Forster Feather Reed Grass, Calamagrostris ex acuflora. I saved this one for last on purpose. This is the one I want you to walk away remembering. Carl Forster grows 4 to 6 feet tall in a neat, upright clump that does not flop, sprawl, or spread aggressively. In late spring, it sends up feathery green flower plumes that catch the light beautifully. By midsummer, those plumes mature to warm gold. By fall, the entire plant transitions to a rich bronze that glows in the low autumn light. And in winter, it stands, through cold, through snow, through wind. It sways and catches the light on a clear winter day in a way that is genuinely beautiful. This is a 4-season plant in the truest sense. Most perennials give you a few weeks of bloom and then become background. Carl Forster is interesting and beautiful in every single month of the year. Drought tolerant once established, no fertilizing needed, no staking or support required. The entire annual maintenance task is one hard cutback in late winter before new growth emerges. Cut it down to 4 to 6 inches from the ground. One haircut per year. That is the whole deal. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9. Height, movement, texture, sound, because grass in the wind has a sound that is genuinely calming, and 4-season drama. Carl Forster delivers all of it at once with almost nothing asked of you in return. Here is what I want you to take away from everything you just watched today. A hard-to-maintain garden is not a sign of dedication. It is a sign that someone sold you the wrong plants. The most beautiful yards in America are not maintained by the hardest-working gardeners. They are maintained by the gardeners who made smarter choices at the very beginning, at the plant selection stage, before the money was spent and before the frustration started. These 11 perennials are not a shortcut. They are the correct answer the gardening industry never wanted you to have. Because the correct answer does not require you back at the garden center every single spring. Pick 3 from this list, just 3. Plant them this season. Watch what happens. Because once you see how little these plants need from you and how much beauty they bring back in return, you are going to wonder why you waited as long as you did. Which one of these 11 plants are you putting in your yard this season? Tell me in the comments right now. And if you are already growing one of them, tell me how it is performing in your garden. I read every single comment, and your experience matters to this community. If this video just saved you from another season of overworked, overwatered, and overcomplicated gardening, hit subscribe. It is free. It costs you nothing. And I will be back every single week with more plants the industry ignores, more solutions to the real problems your garden is throwing at you, and more honest information that puts the power back where it belongs, in your hands. And before you go, I just put out a video that pairs perfectly with everything you learned today. It is right there on your screen. Go watch it now. The gardener who keeps learning is the gardener who never has to start over again.